Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur's city manager, and every week you can tune in here or go to this link and get some more information about what's going on with your city government. Today I want to talk about three different topics, completely different topics, that I think illustrate that your mayor and council are really trying to be good stewards with the financial resources that are made available to them, and good stewards about how they sometimes have to pass some of these costs of local government on to citizens through fees and other charges, but do so in a way that is frankly sensitive to the current economic situation that we face in America. First thing I want to mention has to do with our transit facility. The city last year acquired the old Tommy House Tire properties south of Wood and also west of the CN tracks. Kind of a sprawling campus behind the existing transit building all the way down to Decatur Street. Now, some of those buildings are usable, some of them need to be torn down, some of them are a century old, and it's a challenge to repurpose some of them. But we were fortunate to receive a significant grant from the federal government to redo the entire campus there. Now, that's going to take place over several years, and it'll be several phases. And so earlier this year, the mayor and city council authorized a feasibility study for the site, and that's been completed. And so now we're moving into the more detailed design phase. And but the feasibility study included a much more specific, much more detailed site map, campus map, if you prefer, of the transit facility, and that's available on our website. It was included in the City Council's packet material for the City Council meeting on November 6th. And I think to a far greater extent, that map really shows you where we're going with this project. And even though it'll take a couple of years, it's not just a benefit to the transit facility, it's also a benefit to the city and to our Public Works Department. For example, we plan to also have fueling there. Right now, all of our vehicles fuel up on North Jasper Street at the Public Works facility. We plan to have a vehicle wash facility that services not just our buses, but our other rolling stock as well. So that we'll be able to improve the efficiency of our maintenance operations for the entire city and make bus transportation also more efficient, because the campus is also being redesigned to accommodate electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, which have to be serviced and charged in of course, totally different way than the diesel buses we have used historically. So I encourage you to go to the city's website, and we'll make sure that that campus map is shown there. I use that as an example of the City Council's good stewardship, because nearly all of the costs, not only of this engineering and feasibility study, but also of the construction of these different phases, is being handled by state and federal grants. We've been very fortunate to receive sizable amounts of money from the state and federal government for it, and Senator Durbin and Governor Pritzker have been here in Decatur in person to talk a little bit about their participation in our getting those grants. Second thing I want to talk a little bit about has to do with stormwater. Now, for many years, the city has had what we call a stormwater utility. In fact, that was created 9 years ago by the mayor and city council. And what it means is that there's a fairly small charge that's on your water and sewer bill for stormwater. Stormwater is dealt with separately from sewer, because it serves as a revenue stream to deal with flooding problems and drainage, both on public as well as on private property. It does not generate very much money, and the city has not adjusted the rates since the stormwater utility was first created 9 years ago. It hasn't even been adjusted for inflation. And as a result of that, although we do stormwater work every single year, we're not able to do as much. And in fact, we have more than a $25 million backlog in stormwater projects we need to do all over the city. The City Council decided that after 9 years, it's time to make an adjustment to the stormwater fee. And so they have done so, and that'll be effective in 2024. But the mayor and council are still very sensitive to the fact that while we need to change these fees periodically, we need to do so in a way that is still manageable. And so even with the new fees that they proposed, they are still below what other communities here in central Illinois are charging. And in order to make it as easy as possible to absorb these fees, the City Council's phasing them in over a couple of years to make it a little bit easier. But the result should be that we're doing more stormwater work. In fact, at the same City Council meeting where the City Council approved this adjustment to the stormwater rates, they approved a $400,000 stormwater project in 3 separate residential neighborhoods where we've been having chronic problems of stormwater. But these are fairly small maintenance projects. We really need to do some much larger projects to really make a significant dent in this backlog, and hopefully this adjustment in the rates will make that possible. The final thing I want to talk about today has to do with garbage. One of the complaints that as a city government we had with the private haulers is that they kept coming up with these imaginative fees for services, some of which were not authorized by the ordinance. So we'd have to push back and tell customers, no, call Waste Management or call GFL back and tell them to take that off the bill. It's not authorized by the ordinance. But one of the things that is authorized by the existing ordinance is something called a tote rental fee. And although not that many GFL customers have this, more than 2/3 of Waste Management customers are paying a tote rental fee. What these new changes we are proposing to the City Council, which will likely be on their agenda in December, will require is that all of these fees, tote fees, special fees, they all go away, and the customer pays a base fee, which is a little bit higher, but it includes providing totes, meaning that if your tote is worn out, it gets stolen, it's broken, you call the company, they bring you a new tote, no extra charge, because the cost of replacement of the totes are expensive, but the cost of the replacement of the totes is built into the charge. Now, the current charge is $19 a month, which would be $38 over 2 months, and some of the haulers are charging a tote fee on top of that. So the new rate will go to $23.50. So if you're paying a tote charge now, that means that for those 2/3 of the Waste Management customers, the base charge is basically going to stay the same as it was before because the tote fee goes away. Thanks for tuning in to this video. I hope this is helpful, and we look forward to giving you more information next week.